Hey, Sage.
Yeah.
What makes Warcraft Warcraft?
Or
Exactly.
bada boom.
So in this video, we're going to be talking about the new Warfronts that were announced for the new expansion Battle for Azeroth. And this whole system is really a big throwback to the original RTS games.
Yeah, Warcraft 1 through 3 plus, what was it, the Frozen Throne?
Mm-hmm.
And so the looks of this is Warcraft meets Warcraft.
Warcraft meet Warcraft.
Yeah.
It's basically inside of the World of Warcraft, you are playing an RTS light, so to say.
You and 19 of your closest friends band together. You build bases, you gather resources, you make minions, and you attack the enemy's base who is building bases, gathering resources, and making minions.
And the system itself looks really cool. As we're talking here, I'll have some videos from BlizzCon playing in the background. But the system itself is you have to go out, you have to gather resources, you have to go in and with 19 other people spend those resources to build your buildings. And just like the original Warcraft titles, RTS games, you have to first build your town hall, upgrade that to another one, build a barracks, get out your knights, get out your riflemen, get out your, frontmen, all those other things. And you're constantly choosing different strategies to deal with what the enemy's doing. And one of the big things that came up right away, at least in the BlizzCon announcement, was, well, what happens if you and 19 other people all don't agree on what to build? It's totally fine. It's like the system on the Broken Shore, but think of it a lot faster inside of a 20-minute to 30-minute game, where you collect the resources. You, specifically the individual player, can choose what your resources go into. And then if everybody chooses the same thing, it gets built faster. If they don't choose the same thing, it's not wasted. It's still being put towards it, and you still get the job done. This will require some team play to figure out how to do it. And this whole battle is set and based inside the Azeroth Highlands. It takes place after the Siege of Lordaeron, and the Alliance kind of taking that back from the Horde. Spoilers if you didn't know already. And then the battle goes out in the Azeroth Highlands, and this is where the Warfront will kind of take place quite a bit. And so there's some, lane control, what's here, what's there, how do you defend your resources while you're spending your resources, how do you go after the enemy's base while your base is under attack, and it really does capture from what has been presented the idea of the original RTS games, but with a very serious twist that keeps it from ever being, this is the meta that we always play.
Yeah. For one thing, if you're playing against an enemy commander, say that you're playing Horde, for the Horde, and you're up against a human commander. He could favor to build, your frontmen and your basic knights and all that. But the next game you and your friends go in, you're playing against a dwarf. He's here going, I want my dwarf mortars and my riflemen. Well, you can't use the same strategy you used against the first guy.
No, because you as the player are not powerful enough to just go in without the proper army behind you to take care of the problem. And so the situation that Sage presented is, one would require a heavy melee build to deal with. Another one is you're dealing with mortars and ranged. You would have to have a proper counter. So if you're Horde, you'd have to build up some shamans and some other forces to counteract that. Just like in the RTS game, every level was a little different because they kept introducing new, units that played out on the field and new buildings that did different things. And so because the enemy hero that controls the opposite base can be different each time and have their own tactics that you have to deal with, you can't all just load into it like a battleground and go, everybody go to the workshop, everybody go to the oil refinery, and if somebody doesn't, well then you're dumb and now the meta is screwed.
Zerg Rush isn't always the answer.
And it will not be the answer with this type of gameplay. This will take communication. This will take people working together, but if you choose not to work together, like I already said, and what's been presented, your resources still get put towards something that'll eventually earn you and your team something. Now, the other big thing about this battle system is that it earns you all sorts of rewards, PvP and everything else like that, but it earns you Azerite, which is the main thing you're collecting in all the content that you do, and we're going to talk about in several other videos on this channel here.
Yeah, it's kind of the theme of the expansion. Everything builds together, and this is just another avenue of that.
I think it's a really cool throwback to add another dimension of gameplay, because right now you go, okay, I'm going to do mythic dungeons, I'm going to do regular dungeons, I'm going to do raids, I'm going to do PvP, and now we can say, I'm going to do Mythic Dungeons, Raids, PvP, and we're going to talk about some other scenarios later on in another video, but there's a new scenario coming out, Expeditions, and now I'm going to go do Warfronts. And you can queue up for all these things, so there's always something to be doing. That seems to be Blizzard's motto as they push forward from Legion. Always have the players doing something or able to do something that they like.
Yeah, and now this just adds another layer for players to choose from. Maybe you don't like Mythic Dungeons very much, but Warfront sounds like, the best thing ever to you. Guess what? Now you and your friends can make a Warfronts group.
And 20 players can get together and do that, or queue up to get the other people that you don't have to make the full 20. It seems like an awesome system. It seems like a throwback to what makes Warcraft, and that is war. And this is all-out war. Resource spending, resource management, managing units, being the commander on the field, and then going in and taking out the enemy. So I'm really excited for this system. I think it looks like it'll be a ton of fun. Let us know down in the comments below, what do you think about the Warfront system? What do you think about participating in a RTS gaming environment inside of World of Warcraft with 19 other players trying to strategize on the fly to deal with things? Are you excited for this system? Does it sound like a system you're, gonna take part of, or does it sound like something you're gonna be like, nope, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole? It sounds like even more convoluted PvP and more people yelling at me when I don't do the right thing.
Yeah, and let us know what ideas you have for it that you'd like it to see to develop into.
And as always, like and subscribe, share with a friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching.
SageNtheRage out.